he shrugged. "The other is to make him talk. Why else leave his tongue?" "Them?" I asked. "The Scots?" Egil looked back to the mangled corpse. "He must have annoyed someone, but the Scots have been quiet lately. Doesn't seem like them." He shrugged. "Could be something personal. Another fisherman he angered?" "No other bodies?" I asked. There had been 6 men and 2 boys in the Gideon's crew. "No wreckage?" "Just this poor bastard so far. But the others could be out there, still floating." There was little more to say or do. If the Scots had not captured Gideon, then I assumed it was either a Norse raider or else a Frisian ship using the early summer weather to enrich herself with the Gideon's catch of herring, cod, and haddock. Whoever it was, the Gideon was gone, and I suspected her surviving crew had been put on their captors' rowing benches, and that suspicion turned to near certainty when, 2 days after Egil brought me the corpse, the Gideon herself washed ashore north of Lindisfarne. She was a dismasted hulk, barely afloat as the waves heaved her onto the sands. No more bodies appeared, just the wreck, which we left on the sands, certain that the storms of autumn would break her up. A week after the Gideon lurched brokenly ashore, another fishing boat vanished, and this one on a windless day as calm as any the gods ever made. The lost ship had been called the Swallow, and like Hagar, her master had liked to cast nets far out to sea, and the first I knew of the Swallow's disappearance was when 3 widows came to Bebbanburg, led by their gap-toothed village priest who was named Father Gad. He bobbed his head. "There was—" he began. "Was what?" I asked, resisting the urge to imitate the hissing noise the priest made because of his missing teeth. Father Gad was nervous, and no wonder. I had heard that he preached sermons that lamented his village's overlord was a pagan, but his courage had fled now that he was face to face with that pagan. "Bulger Haraldson, Lord. He's the—" "I know who Bulger is," I interrupted. He was another fisherman. "He saw 2 ships on the horizon, Lord, on the day the Swallow vanished." "There are many ships," I said. "Trading ships. It would be strange if he didn't see ships." "Bulger says they headed north, then south." The nervous fool was not making much sense, but in the end I understood what he was trying to say. The Swallow had rowed out to sea, and Bulger, an experienced man, saw where she vanished beyond the horizon. He then saw the masthead of the 2 ships go towards the Swallow, pause for some time, then turn back. The Swallow had been beneath the horizon, and the only visible sign of her meeting with the mysterious ships was their masts going north, pausing, then going south, and that did not sound like the movement of any trading ship. "You should have brought Bulger to me," I said, then gave the 3 widows silver and the priest 2 pennies for bringing me the news. "What news?" Finnan asked me that evening. We were sitting on the bench outside Bebbanburg's hall, staring across the eastern ramparts to the moon's wrinkling reflection on the wide sea. From inside the hall came the sounds of men singing, of men laughing. They were my worries, all but for the score who watched from our high walls. A small east wind brought the smell of the sea. It was a quiet night, and Bebbanburg's lands had been peaceful ever since we had crossed the hills and defeated Skoll in his high fortress a year before. After that grisly fight, we had thought the Norsemen were beaten, and that the western part of Northumbria was cowed. But travellers brought news across the high passes that still the Northmen came, their dragon boats landing on our western coasts, their warriors finding land, but no Norseman called himself king as Skoll had done, and none crossed the hills to disturb Bebbanburg's pastures, and so there was peace of a sort. Constantine of Alba, which some men call Scotland, was at war with the Norse of Strathclotter, led by a king called Owen, and Owen left us alone, and Constantine wanted peace with us until he could defeat Owen's Norsemen. It was what my father had called a Scottish peace, meaning that there were constant and savage